A respectful and healthy partnership between social workers and foster caregivers is the cornerstone of the care team, whose primary focus is to provide the best care and outcomes for the children and youth in the foster care system. As a social worker, it's important to always be conscious of these 5 key pillars which will significantly enhance your partnership with caregivers. First, teamwork and feeling included. Foster caregivers live with children in their homes 24/7. The children they care for are embraced as family members, and many foster caregivers in BC have been fostering for 50 years and more. They have a great deal of experience and can make a social worker's job much easier. Foster caregivers must invest in the children and youth that they care for. Caregivers are available to console and encourage them, to celebrate with them and help them through transitions. Caregiver responsibility doesn't follow a 9-to-5 schedule. They are responsible for foster children and youth all day, every day, just as any parent would be. And just as any positive parent would do, they offer love, affection and a safe place to land to children and youth who have been placed in foster care. Foster caregivers are a social worker's best ally, and as such, it's vital that every caregiver is included as a valued and respected professional member of the care team. Caregivers have broad knowledge and specific insight into the children and youth in their home. This knowledge is valuable and must be considered when completing and updating care plans. The child social worker may feel that all responsibility for a child or youth falls solely on their shoulders. Encouraging a healthy care team dynamic means that some of the responsibility for planning for the child or youth's best interest is shared among others who have insight and expertise. All members of the care team bring insight and knowledge that complement one another's experience. Ultimately, this leads to a well-rounded, holistic care plan. Adopting a positive team environment will minimize conflicts and miscommunications between social workers and foster caregivers. Foster caregivers feel respected and appreciated when they are heard and when they are included in planning processes for the children and youth in their homes. Honest and open communications. Be open with the caregiver about the history of the child or youth being placed in their home. It's vitally important that they have all available information. This allows the caregiver to make informed and responsible decisions in the best interests of the child or youth and for other children in the home. Foster parents care for children and youth who have different workers. Do your best to understand who is in the home and the complexities involved in meeting everyone's expectations and needs. Share with the caregiver any updates about decision-making and care planning, as well as all changes in policy or practice that impact children placed in their home. Keeping caregivers informed and remembering that communication is a two-way street both promote a positive and productive partnership. Leaving the door open for honest communication creates a supportive, safe environment for caregivers to share honestly with you about what's happening with the children and youth in their home. Understanding perspectives. Being a foster caregiver has been likened to parenting in a fishbowl. They live with a great deal of scrutiny from community members, biological family members, and the social workers that they are in touch with every day. Through developing honest, open communications and working with foster caregivers as part of a team, you can better understand the challenges that caregivers face. Understanding your foster caregiver's perspective and the limitations of the caregiver's role provides you with an opportunity to create an environment where caregivers are supported and valued. Ultimately, this supports the best interests and positive outcomes for children and youth in care. As a social worker, you are uniquely positioned to support both the children and youth in care and also to ensure that the skills and insights of caregivers are represented at your care team meetings. Speaking of team meetings, debriefing caregivers after team meetings is extremely helpful so they have any new information. Foster caregivers need to be aware of all developments when planning for a child in their home. Stay engaged and connected. Stay connected and in touch with your foster caregivers. If possible, offer alternative ways to connect, like email, telephone, or virtual conversations that save time and take the pressure off of all the tidying up for a visit. Arrange for childcare if the children should not be present. Relationship is the foundation of foster care, and keeping an open, casual dialogue with the caregiver is very helpful. Remember to schedule meetings or even a quick visit in advance so that the foster caregiver can accommodate his or her family's commitments and routine. Telling your foster caregivers why there will be a meeting is respectful and takes the guesswork out of preparing for the meeting. Let your caregiver know in advance if you plan to meet with the child or youth so they are available if needed and aware of where the child or youth is. Caregivers have a right to ask for a meeting with team members. Help them coordinate with all parties that need to attend. If you receive a call or email from a foster caregiver, please be sure to respond, even if it's just to say you'll have to call them back the next day. Consideration and compassion. Caregivers are expected to provide all information to social workers. They want to share openly. It is up to you to ensure that a caregiver feels safe in the relationship with you to give voice to all of their parenting concerns and challenges. All social workers have the right to know what is going on with the children placed in a foster care home. Foster caregivers need to know what your concerns are. Remember, they are doing their best with the information they have. If you have concerns, be respectful when asking questions of the caregiver. Giving the benefit of the doubt will keep all exchanges calm and informative. Most foster caregivers who are experiencing an investigation process are nervous. They often don't receive enough information to help them understand the reasons for the investigation, so they may be confused too. Mostly they are worried for the children they have cared for. When launching an investigation, give a caregiver as much information as possible so that they can move forward through a challenging process with a sense of understanding. Foster families grieve when children and youth that they are particularly attached to move to another placement, return home, or if something happens to the child or youth. The foster caregiver may need support from you, other team members, or a professional depending on this situation. Remember that the biological or adopted children of the foster family are also impacted by foster placements and moves. Show concern for the welfare and adjustments of other children in the home when a new placement comes or a long-term foster sibling leaves. Fostering isn't just about the day-to-day business. Being curious about the foster caregiver's family life can open doors to a deeper understanding. So just in conclusion, BC's foster caregivers provide fostering services because they love the work of raising children and youth. Their goal is to raise healthy children in a secure, loving environment. The work of fostering is as much about advanced parenting skill as it is about relationship and engagement with children, biological family, and teams of social workers and other professionals. The tips we've provided here were developed in partnership with social workers who have been successfully working with foster caregivers in BC communities for many years.